Hey everybody, thanks for joining today. I'm Dylan. I'm a solutions architect here at Decisions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Give it a couple minutes, see if any questions pop up. If not, I'll go into a quick demo that I have prepared. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, feel free, post them in the chat, speak up. There's been no pre-submitted questions today, so if there are none, I'll just go into a demo, so I'll give it a couple minutes. Oh, see, there is one question.
Hey, Dylan, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. All right, so a couple questions about permissioning.
Yeah.
Is there a way to allow a user to change assignments on a workflow, but not allow them to delete assignments? From what I could tell, when you select Can Administrate, it automatically picks everything else. And if you don't select Can Administrate, they can't change assignments.
That is a great question. That's a tough one. So with the Can Administrate, I don't know if there's a way to distinguish the two separate actions from one another, kind of like you've just experienced.
Yeah, like I said, when you select Can Administrate and hit Save Permissions and then go back into it, all the checkboxes are checked.
Yeah. So maybe one thing worth looking into is what were the two actions again? Changing an assignment?
Changing an assignment and deleting an assignment.
There might be ways you could use workflows to accomplish that. There's within the internal service steps.
Okay.
There might be some steps, and we could maybe take a look right now. I'm not exactly sure. I know with permissioning, I don't think there's a way to distinguish those two, kind of like you've experienced. But
yeah,
if there's a way with steps, then you can kind of permission a workflow. Like user A can only run the change assignment workflow or delete assignment workflow. But I don't know if there's any internal steps to accomplish that. Let's see. Are you familiar with some of the internal service steps?
some, not many.
Yeah, there's a lot in here.
There
is. So I don't know if there's any. Let's see if there's anything that stands out under assignment though. So there is a delete assignment that just takes in, like, I'm assuming this is going to be an assignment ID. But let's see what the other one is. Change assignment. Here we go. Changes. That's complete. Here's the actual change assignment. Let's build data on this. I'm not sure what this is. So this might be worth exploring. There seems to be these two steps, delete assignment, and then the change assignment step, where you could leverage workflows to do this, which you can set permissions on that way.
Okay.
I think I would try that because I don't believe there is a way to distinguish between the two with the standard permissions.
So the user would just get to this workflow either via the right-click menu on the process folder or via the process view. Maybe there'd be one of those buttons in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
okay.
Some sort of custom action that you could create on that.
Okay, so remove the Can Administrate, but give them the change assignment option that way.
Yeah, I don't fully know if that would work or not, but this I think would be one approach to it to try.
Okay.
Because this way, if you do create some custom actions such as the change and delete, then you can kind of set permissions on those respectfully. You can even, since it's a workflow, you could even put rules in here to see, like, is this user one that can administrate or can perform a delete or can perform, and if they can't, you can show a pop-up that way.
Excellent. Okay, that's a great idea. The other question I had on permissions, I have several workflows that are used across the company, right? Different people are the process owners for those workflows, and they have permissions to reports, about those workflows.
Yep.
In their folder view, right down the left-hand side of their decisions page, right now what's happening is they're just getting a whole list of different items, right? They have their inbox, they have my documents, and then 3 or 4 extra folders with reports. What I'd like to have happen is a reports folder that applies to everybody, and then whatever reports you have permission to, they're in that folder. What I'm seeing is if I give a folder, all user can view, can open, can edit, I think is the third one.
Yep.
Then it seems like that is overriding any permissions for the contents of that folder. So I have the folder, and then I have reports A, B, and C. A is visible by Joe. B is visible by Sue, and so on.
Yeah.
If I give them permission to the folder, then it seems like they can see everything in that folder.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, we have this customers folder.
Yeah.
Are you setting permissions on the customers folder or on the page with the report specifically?
Right now, there's permissions on the page specifically, but that's causing a menu item, each menu item to show up individually.
Oh,
right?
I see. Yeah.
So if a person has administrative rights on 3 workflows, they're getting 3 reports. What I want to have happen is they get a reports folder, and then whatever reports they have access to, they show up when they open that folder.
I see. So could you build your reports folder and then within here add, let me think. So like, let's say you have your customers, or this will be our reports folder, and you could right click, instead of adding a page, you could just add a report. So add your reports here. Let me just put this. So it shows up. Let me think. Oh, hold on. That wouldn't be it. I'm trying to think the best approach to that, because I do see it. Because what I don't necessarily know if you'd want to do is each report gets its own page with under your reports folder.
Okay.
And that way you could set permissions directly on that page specifically. So let's say you have 10 reports, which would be 10 pages under the customer folder or under your report folder. Each one of those specifically, you just set permissions to like user A can only view report A.
Right.
They don't have access. So that way, under the reports, they'd only have that one drop-down selection. They'd only have report A, which they have permissions to.
Right, and that's what's happening now. But if they have permission to 5 reports, they get 5 menu items in their list of folders. What I want to have happen is they have one folder that's called reports. So no matter how many reports they have access to, they have to expand that. Because I'm trying to keep that, that tree structure kind of clean.
Yeah. So are all the other pages though? Are they in different folders, like different parent folders?
They are in. They're in one folder, but there is no permissioning on that folder. So the user is seeing their report, but they're not seeing the folder. Whereas me as the admin, I have a reports folder and I see all the reports. I don't know if it would help if I shared my screen to show that.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. I think that might help.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing.
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Let me share.
Okay.
All right. So you should be seeing my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So I have this dashboards and reports folder here, right? You see I have all these reports listed under here. Now let me go to, so I have like this STA exits report.
Yep.
So if I go to a impersonate. Okay, so right now what I've done, so this is just a test user that I have. I've granted access to this dashboards and reports folder, and they can see all the reports.
Okay.
But let me remove permissions on this. I was just doing some testing here.
no worries.
Right. So now this test user, I switch back to my incognito mode. This test user only sees the reports that they should be able to see.
Okay.
You have the STA exits report. What I want to have happen is they get a folder that they expand, and then they get their STA exits report.
I see now. I see. I think let's go back to your parent folder for this.
Okay.
This is just a standard folder holding just report dashboard pages.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what happened is that when you exposed permissions, it showed everything rather than just those two. I see what you mean. Ooh, that one's tricky. That one's tricky.
Okay. I didn't know if you had any best practices about how to help users manage their tree structure here.
You approached it the way I would approach it, but I haven't had that happen before where they have access to everything. Now, what if you just did can view permissions, or did you have everything on there for?
I can try can view. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, let's. It might do the same exact thing. I'm just curious. Can view everything.
Yeah.
And now on each of those, is it set for maybe because it's the all users group you're testing with? Do you have like a, let me think. Because I think the all users group just means everybody.
Right. So what I'd want to have happen is everybody sees this folder. If you have reports, you have them. If not, you don't. Okay,
I see. Let's just start. Let's go to the one of the reports that you had, like the STA, I think exits report I saw.
Sorry, in the test user?
Yeah. Let's see what would they have. Do you mind showing me the permissions on this folder for that user?
Sure. Oh, I'd have to go back to me. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah.
So in this one, I just have it identified right to that user. Typically, I'd use groups, but for testing, I just put it in the specific account.
Okay. And now let's go to one that they shouldn't be accessing. Let's see.
Let's look at the project funding request.
Okay. So if there are none. Now, what if this is just on kind of like a wing here? I'm not exactly sure how to go about this, but what if we set this for somebody else's account? Like, let's put a permission on here to somebody else. Just want to see if that would.
Let's do work for the test. Let's do test 2.
Yeah, I'm actually stumped on this.
So let's do.
Yeah. Okay, now let's see for that other user, if they could still see that one.
Let's refresh it, just make sure.
Probably can.
Yep, project funding request.
Okay, they could still see
and
it.
And they can even open it. They can actually run it.
Yeah. So is this current account a part of any other groups? Are they currently a part of like an admin group or a developers group or?
I can confirm that.
Okay. Because I think those groups would trump kind of everything.
That's a great thing to look at. Nope,
So
these
just
are not all. Yeah, these are not admin or developer groups.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of stumped on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I would maybe go ahead and say submit a ticket because I'm kind of stumped.
I can do that
on this. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong. I fully expected that the permissions would get finer, more granular in the folder. I wouldn't expect the folder to override.
Agreed. That's exactly how I think it should be working. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll explore that that workflow to allow change permissions and not delete permissions. Cool.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that one.
No worries. No worries.
Okay. Let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay. Were there any other questions?
I just found one pre-submitted question. It wasn't necessarily pre-submitted for the Lunch and Learn, but I do think that this would be a solid spot, and I can send it to her. I just put it in the chat.
Okay, so looking for encryption, particularly for social security number in decisions form fields. So are we talking about on the form specifically or in the database? Let me find my folder. I can kind of show both. Where's my Lunch and Learn folder? So on a form specifically, I don't know about encryption exactly how it works, but you could put like masked text box to have that. So like here, I believe there might even be a social security number one. I just put a data name. Let's see if we were to preview it. Okay, I see. So it doesn't show it. Kind of shows it open here. Let's think. Let me think on this one. You could probably, because what I believe you would be looking for is something similar to the password text box. I don't think our mask text box would hide those numbers specifically. But you could do something like the password text box, which would kind of hide the fields for you. Downfall of that one, you're not exactly validating that the social security number is in the correct format of the 3 digits, 2 digits, 4 digits. To do that, you could do some validations around it. But like with the password text box, that's where you kind of get the hidden. It kind of seems that our mask doesn't do that for social security. Let me think though, I wonder if there's another way. Well, we don't want to do that. That would hide the entire component. You could also possibly do some CSS around that on the mask text box. I can't promise that'll work. To kind of hide it similar to a password text box. It's definitely worth a shot at that. So those are kind of the two components I think that would work on a form specifically. But now if we're talking about encryption within the database, when you create a data type, if it's a decision structure, let's say we're creating a standard database structure and we have a social security number, there will be something under advanced that allows you to say here encrypt data, which will encrypt it in the database for you. I'm not exactly sure what type of encryption it is, but I just do know if you click that, it will encrypt the data for you in the back end when it's saved. So hopefully that answers the question. Hopefully that helps. Okay, are there any other questions? If not, I think we can go ahead and call it a day. Cool. I appreciate everyone for joining. Yep, thanks. Bye, everyone.